Another video related to the CEO shooting. I know, but what I'm going to talk about in this video really pisses me off, and it concerns Kathy Hochul on top of that, my governor, unfortunately, so all the more reason for this to piss me off. From the Latin Times, New York considering special hotline just for CEOs to report alleged threats to their safety after Brian Thompson killing. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is considering creating a special hotline just for CEOs to report alleged threats to their safety after United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down in the middle of Manhattan earlier this month, according to a report. Ahead of a proactive meeting between Hochul and 175 corporate representatives, counterterrorism officials, and Homeland Security on Tuesday, CNN reported that New York was considering the CEO hotline option. The meeting was scheduled to ensure the state resources, specifically the domestic counterterrorism resources, are focused on being supportive, sharing information, Kathy Wild, CEO of the Partnership for New York City, told Politico. This demonstrates that New York has the most prepared and capable counterterrorism resources in the country. There's no safer place to be, Wild added. Yes, this is exactly what we need in this moment. A fucking tiered system when it comes to emergency response. And you just know, if this were to be put into practice, calls from paranoid, mega-rich CEOs would absolutely be prioritized. Because who lines the pockets of the politicians who allow for excess funding to go into police departments? Oh right, super wealthy CEOs by and large. So fuck Joe Schmo if they're going through a medical emergency, or they got attacked, or robbed, or insert any other thing here that you would need emergency services for. Joe Schmo is part of the meat grinder, so that means their life matters less, and if Joe Schmo ends up needing to go to the hospital as a result of what happened to them, their claim will likely get denied, therefore they will be stuck with an outrageous bill that will likely bankrupt them. But hey, it's not a total loss because those at the top of the chain of these health insurance companies, you know, the ones who are part of the class of people who would be getting this stupid fucking hotline, would be profiting off of Joe Schmo's denied claim because they make more money letting people just suffer and die than actually covering them. It is disgusting how much preferential treatment you get in this country just based on how much wealth you have hoarded. What about all of these children across the nation who are just sitting in their classrooms and then all of a sudden a gunman bursts in and murders them? We just had a school shooting the other day in Wisconsin where a piece of shit neo-Nazi shot a teacher dead and shot a student dead before ultimately killing herself. Yes, it was a girl this time. Where the fuck is the special hotline for students who have to endure that? Who have to endure the horror of watching their friends and peers and teachers die in front of their fucking eyes, not knowing if it's going to be their turn next. I remember when the Uvalde shooting happened, there was one story that has haunted me since. There was a little girl who was one of the sole survivors in her classroom. She was surrounded by the dead bodies of her peers, and the gunman was still in the classroom, so she decided to smear the blood of her peers on herself to make it look like she was already shot. One, that is some insane survival instincts for a kid. Two, imagine carrying that trauma for the rest of your life. At such a young age, you watch your friends get gunned down en masse in a building you thought you were safe in, and then in a desperate attempt to preserve your own life, you cover yourself in the blood of your dead friends, still not knowing if that tactic will work, and that you will be the one who will get killed next. And what do these useless fucking politicians always have to say in response to kids getting murdered in classrooms? Thoughts and prayers. Maybe if that little girl was the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, we would have done something. Many of our politicians in this country are in the pockets of gun lobbyists, so passing any laws that make it harder for those who shouldn't be in possession of a gun from attaining one is not in their best interests. And that's what's more important to these politicians, the nice paychecks they get from lobbyists, from billionaires, from corporations, and other entities that wish to rig the system in favor of them as opposed to the citizens. And not the countless children every year in this country who get their lives unnecessarily cut short. No, it's the one CEO that got gunned down that we need to pay attention to. If these CEOs really are so petrified for their lives and safety, well, one, they should really rethink their moral compass, but you know that's not going to happen. Two, let that be their own fucking problem. They have more than enough money for private security. Why should it be up to the taxpayer to fund this useless ridiculous fucking hotline for people who would gladly walk over our own corpses if it meant even making the slightest profit. And speaking of the average tax-paying citizen, where's their fucking hotline for whenever their health insurance denies their claim because they went to the hospital, because they went through a legitimate medical emergency and now they're stuck with an enormous bill? Or they may need surgery that could potentially save their life, but then they get denied coverage. No, those people don't matter because they're not high up enough on the social ladder. Fuck these mega-rich leeches influencing our government and our politicians that gladly bend over for them. And fuck Kathy Hochul, who is again, unfortunately, my governor here in New York. New York Democrats are some of the worst this party has to offer. They're some of the most nakedly corrupt pieces of shit you can imagine in our government. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.